Greetings to everyone. I am Crescent, and I would like to showcase my latest entry in my 3D recreation of Yu-Gi-Oh! Art series. Today, I would like to present to you Magic Cylinder. Magic Cylinder was released as a secret rare in the set Labyrinth of Nightmare on March 1st, 2003 for the TCG. It is a normal trap card. The effect reads, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, target the attacking monster, negate the attack, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its attack. Imagine this. You're in your school's playground. You and your friends are at a table just playing a friendly game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Both of your life points are low, but you have the card advantage. They only have one set card in the back row while you control plenty of monsters. You feel as if you have them on the ropes. You proceed to normal summon a 7-colored fish. Out of fear of an imposing mirror force, you switch the rest of your monsters to defense position. Even if they have a mirror force, I'll be protected and I'll get them on the next turn, you cleverly think to yourself. With all the confidence in the world, you enter the battle phase and declare your attack. Before you are able to celebrate, your friend reaches to their set card and flips it over. You proceed to lean forward to see, and that is what it was like when facing this card on its release. Labyrinth of Nightmare was the 5th set to be released in the TCG. At that moment in time, the game was still young and the card pool was limited. The only powerful battle trap there was at this time was Mirror Force. Mirror Force's existence forced duelists to play less aggressive against back row heavy boards. However, playing in such a way only caused Magic Cylinder to be used to much greater effect, as only a few monsters would be in attack position when entering the battle phase. When it comes to competitive play, Magic Cylinder would only stick around for a few years. The card would be played occasionally until we reached further sets such as Invasion of Chaos, which would include cards that would completely wipe the field before even entering the battle phase. Magic Cylinder only has one use, and would ultimately not change the game state after activation. All the monsters would remain on the field, and you only blocked a single attack. Even in dedicated stall and burn decks, this card has such a low impact that it would be cut for more favorable burn cards. Heck, I would even say that Dimension Wall is almost a straight upgrade, as it would accomplish the same thing and doesn't even target the monster. Fortunately, after 18 years, Magic Cylinder would be getting its first support card ever, unofficially named Reloaded Cylinder, which will be in the set Burst of Destiny, which has yet to debut as of this video's release. This card can search out Magic Cylinder and even increase the amount of damage it can cause. Will it be used competitively? I doubt it, but it's still nice to see this love. Although time moves onward and every card falls out of relevancy, Magic Cylinder has left its mark in Yu-Gi-Oh! History and in my heart. As for my 3D recreation, this is the 5th entry in my series. I broke the image down to 6 components. Those components being the fog, lightning, grid, fire, cylinder, and the arrows. First, the fog is just a blended noise texture. I am so surprised on how often I use noise textures now. This is the 3rd project in a row that I have used it, and I am sure that I will be using it many more times. Anyways, the texture is applied to 2 flat planes that close in on each other, forming a V shape. The lightning was made the same way as the fog, with a few extra steps. It's another noise texture. However, I had only the edges of the fog displayed and focused the color on that threshold so you don't see any gradient. I think it was quite clever to get this result using this method. The third layer is the grid. At first, I just created a pink grid image using a painting software and applied it to a plane. I didn't like how pixelated the result was, but it got the job done. Until days later, I realized I had access to a brick texture that was built into the software. It was an easy switch at that point. The fire. Oh boy, the fire. This layer alone took up almost half the time to create everything. I was just so confused on how to get this to work. Let me explain. This fire is always behind the cylinders, but it still follows them. So when the cylinders spin, they need to spin as well. I tried different methods like having it follow a hidden alpha channel, but nothing I tried worked. So I 100% cheesed it out. I made a texture that uses 8 points for each fire. Each point is emitting a ball of flame. I then keyframed each point to move around at the same time the cylinders do. This is why you see these gaps here that you normally would not see. It worked. But there was an issue. Because there were 16 points of fire that needed to be generated, not to mention needed to cycle perfectly. Rendering caused my GPU to overload and would force close the software as a safety measure to protect my PC. My solution was to render the left flame and the right flame separately as their own layer. It still maxed out my GPU, but it at least would not force close. It also took leaving my computer running this way for 10 hours for each flame. I felt so bad for my PC, but the job got done. On the bright side, since they are both on separate layers, I can do this. Ooh. On a more positive note, the cylinders were super mega baby easy mode. Fun fact, most 3D software have a cylinder as a default object. All I really had to do was texture it. Also, in case you didn't notice, the insides glow red or blue when the arrow passes through, so I animated a texture inside when that happens. Lastly, we have the arrow. The green section is just an arrow-shaped object I modeled. Slapped another noise texture on it, and had that texture slowly move in the opposite direction of the arrow's movements to get that effect I was looking for. The yellow outline is its own object. When working on this layer, I learned that bloom doesn't translate over to PNG files that have an alpha channel. Therefore, I made the outline glow in post-editing. I will move forward with this in mind for future projects. With each project I complete, I learn more and more, always aiming to do better than the last, striving to create bigger and better pieces to share with all of you, to express my love for this game. If you enjoyed this animation and would like to influence future episodes, I have a Patreon where fans can suggest and vote on what cards will be recreated next. It would also help greatly if you would consider subscribing to me, as having your company for this journey would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful day.